Thank you, Heather. And you get two for the price of two today. So I'm Dr. Karla Gonzalez, the medical director at the Wellness Center, and I'm going to let my colleague Valerie Beltran introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Valerie Beltran. Sorry, I'm a little agitated. I ran over here. I am the Family Justice Center advocate for the East Los Angeles Women's Center. Thank you for having me.
So thank you for letting us present this very important topic. So this is actually a topic that we should have presented last month. Valerie and her team have been really, really busy, and we're extremely busy during October for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Valerie, can you just tell us a couple of highlights that you guys had during October?
I'm still recovering, that's for sure. We had a lot of events. More than anything, for October, we want to create awareness. We also hosted a vigil. And in that vigil, we wanted to recognize everyone that's passed away from domestic violence. We also wanted to give their families and those who have survived an opportunity to talk about it. Because we completely understand that when you see a survivor that's gone through it and is able to recover and come out a stronger person, that's the most powerful work we can do. And so we like highlighting the voices of victims and their family members more than anything, because there is a way out. So yeah, we had a vigil. We have a lot of events. We were tabling a lot. We had a trunk or treat with LA Care as well. So, we'd like to sprinkle in some positivity as well, because we know what we talk about can be very heavy and very emotional. But yeah, there was a little bit of everything. Yeah.
Thank you, Valerie. So Valerie and I have been working on a subtopic of domestic partner violence, and actually Valerie is the one that really flagged this for us, and I'm so glad that you did. Thank you, Valerie. We're going to be talking about some pretty heavy stuff, so I'm going to do a little bit of a trigger warning. I think they're moving it for us. Okay. Oh. Oh yeah. So just on the front, on the first slide was just all the people that have collaborated with us on this very special project, and it includes the Wellness Center, CTSI from UCLA. They provided some of the funding for this work that we're doing. The Wellness Center, East LA Women's Center, and then the Echo West program at Charles Drew University. So I'm just going to include this trigger warning. Please take care of yourselves. It is a heavy topic, but it is an important topic. And I think everybody will walk away with some really important information that you may need, or that somebody that you love may need. So of course, the presentation is going to include some heavy topics. If you need to step out, if you need to turn off your Zoom for a bit, feel free to do so. We are also here and available. And if afterward you feel like there's any feelings and emotions that you may need to kind of sort through, Valerie and I are here as well for this. But we hope that this brings some light to a very, very important topic. So next slide. And I'm going to let Valerie talk about this case. It's a de-identified case, but it's really one that highlights the situation that we're trying to address at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. And so the case we're going to go over is actually how our work kind of started. The client that I'm going to be talking about is actually a client that worked with the East Los Angeles Women's Center, so with our agency, and she had already been working with our agency for over 2 years. But just to give you the general information, she is now 32 years old. She's English-speaking female, mother of 3. Now her children are 11, 9, and 3, and she is not only, a mother, she's also the primary caregiver for her mother, who is also sick. And some of the background information, like I already mentioned, the client had been engaged with our services for approximately 2 years, but her therapist was actually the one that approached me. And she basically said, hey, she's been doing great in therapy. She has an incredible case management. Not only was she going to therapy, her children were also going to therapy with us, right? Because we know that the cycle repeats itself. And so we want to work with the children as well. So hopefully we can break that cycle of violence and they don't repeat what they saw at home, unfortunately. So yeah, she had a great therapist. She had an incredible case manager, but her progress was stunted. And her therapist was just like, hey, you know what? I'm noticing that in the therapy sessions, she's talking about a lot about the symptoms that she's experiencing, right? And she's mentioned that she's been trying to see a neurologist because after the abuse, she had been with this person for most of her life. I believe she was 30 at the time, and she had been dating this person since she was, I think, 15. Right. And there was a lot of physical abuse that includes strangulation, that include being hit in the head, being thrown out of a car. And this is exactly why we had that kind of, trigger warning, because some of the things that we do talk about can be very heavy. But basically, at the end of the day, after she was already in safety, She was getting services with us. Her children were getting services with us, but she was still experiencing a lot of symptoms. Are we going to go over the symptoms on this next? Okay, on the next slide. So yeah, once again, the client expressed a change.
So one of the important things that Valerie mentioned is that part of the physical abuse that she experienced did involve violence toward the head, neck, and strangulation. So that's going to be key in this case, maybe a little bit different from other cases of domestic violence, but very specific. So you're kind of understanding kind of where we're getting at. So these are some of the symptoms that she had been reporting. Oh, yeah. So there are a little bit of symptoms. There's symptoms that like now we're we're out, as Valerie mentioned, she's in a safer area, a zone in her life, but she's still having this trouble and not really being able to break through in her therapy and her support, and experiencing headaches, experiencing this like confusion, or something is different, right? Something is different from before she experienced this. Episodes of blurred vision, difficulty completing complex tasks, and mother has to really orchestrate everything. Not only that, she was taking care of her own mother, in addition to her children. So having to orchestrate all the appointments in the house, take her kids to school, all of that was becoming increasingly difficult for her. And then just having like this low energy and fatigue, and really just not feeling like herself. She had disclosed that she also had these episodes where she was like kind of passing out when she was driving, which led her to like just immensely fear driving. Of course, you would understand how that would happen. So she was like avoiding even driving and being able to get out, get to her appointments, get her kids to school. So really functioning at a very, very different level, despite being out of the scary situation and despite being having a lot of support. Next slide. So these are some of the symptoms that I wanted to address. We think about like the lasting trauma and the lasting effects. And we know, of course, that this has a lot of lasting emotional trauma, but what we don't often think about is a physical trauma specific to what may have been her mechanism of injury, which is the violence toward the head, the strangulation, which did not allow oxygen to her brain at some point. And really, we're starting to think, well, these are kind of a cluster of symptoms that we need to address, and we need to investigate more. Now, I'm going to use a term here, and I'm not using it because this is what she had. I'm going to call it traumatic brain injury, because this is actually something that is diagnosed very frequently with people who have been in sports like football, are people who have come back from serving in our armed forces from explosions or gunshots, and they're very easily identified. Somebody who's been in an accident where they hit their head. But the group that we didn't think about was a group with intimate partner violence history. And so this group is underdiagnosed. So I am not saying, and you guys will find out why, I'm not calling it traumatic brain injury, but I do want to bring this concept of lasting head injury that we want to kind of address. So next slide. So the medical team. So this is really where I think that we are making ourselves aware. Valerie and I have done some presentations to the medical teams now in talking about how important it is to document certain things. We call like domestic abuse, we'll say is a survivor of domestic abuse, or came because she was hit, or he was hit, or they were hit. But what we don't write often enough, and the details that we often don't get into, are that they were strangled, and how many times that happened, and how many blows to the head. With people that suffer from sports injuries, we actually have counted how many concussions that they've had. We go into that level of detail. So this is a group, again, that we just need. There's a gap here. So, we talk about, did the person say they passed out? Did the person say they could not breathe? That's important information that if you have experienced this, or you have somebody that has experienced this, you want to communicate that to your medical team, because that should be written down somewhere. Okay, it helps us build the picture and get you to the correct group of medical team to help you. So there are screenings that we can do that are really important that sometimes are not done. And then there's this follow up with either primary care, but also specialties. This is where we, in our efforts to try to help our survivor, we started looking for some resources for her. And we're going to tell you about a really exciting resource that we found. But physical medicine and rehabilitation is really a resource that we had never tapped into. And so we're so excited that we found them. And they're like, yeah, we want to know about these head injuries. And then, of course, neurology and psychology. So next slide. And then what can the person themselves do, or what can you as a loved one who cares about somebody that's going through this do as well? So this is where we're talking about, advocating for ourselves. How can we do that? Hey, I'm having these symptoms. I'm out of this situation, but I'm still feeling these symptoms. Is there anything else that we can explore? Do we think that maybe I have some lasting head trauma? So letting the person know that they can advocate for themselves. So there are treatments. And then the other thing that you want to be ready for is with any visit is be ready for your medical appointment. So Valerie actually went with a survivor to get a CD of her CT images that were done at a different facility so that they could be ready for the neurologist to look at. So bringing in the medical notes, bringing in those records on a CDs, that information is your information. You have a right to it. So you can get images on a CD. Keep that CD with you. Keep those images with you and those documents. Then planning for safety, which is Valerie's team, East Los Angeles Women's Center. And then recording things as you're experiencing them, because we all know that once we get to be in front of our nurses and our doctors, it's very easy to forget. So Valerie, do you want to add anything here?
The only thing I do want to add is that we recognize that sometimes survivors of domestic violence, especially if they're getting out of or they're still in danger, the last thing that they're thinking about is their health, right? And especially knowing our community, most of the women that I've worked with at least literally always put their children before them, right? Making sure that they have food, they have a safe place to stay. And so what we want to highlight too is more than anything is we want people to pay attention to their bodies, right? Even if you are out of danger, please listen to your body, because what Karla and I and our team are trying to stop is these survivors suffering in silence, right? Sometimes they live their lives and they're like, oh, I'm forgetful because I don't know, probably have PTSD, or, it's just me. And we've come across a lot of survivors who, for example, keep losing their jobs, right? And sometimes they're managing DCFS and all these things and they can't manage. And, it goes into anxiety and it goes into a lot of other symptoms. So we want you to pay attention to your body more than anything. Please put yourselves first. I know that sounds very difficult, but sometimes it is really important for you to be a little selfish. And I know the word selfish has like a negative connotation, but it's extremely important, right? What is that one metaphor or like that phrase? When you're on an airplane, what do they tell you about that oxygen mask? You need to put it on yourself first in order for you to be able to help others, right? And so we really want to highlight that. Please pay attention to your body, pay attention to your symptoms. Your body is trying to tell you something. You do not need to live your life with these symptoms. And luckily, with the work that we've done, there is help out there. We know it can be very scary too, a diagnosis or even thinking about your past abuse, but there is help out there. So that's one of the things we really do want to highlight.
Next slide. So these are some of the things that Valerie mentioned is, going at the pace of the survivor, making sure that, we're highlighting those things for them, because people may not really, like Valerie says, they may normalize a lot of these symptoms, but highlighting, hey, you used to be able to take care of all this stuff before. You used to have great concentration, or your memory was super sharp. Something's changed for us. How can we keep on this topic and make sure that we get to the end? So next slide, please. Okay. So back to our case, we'd like to bring some hope here. And I think this was really, really wonderful. We were able to get together and get our clients some lifestyle coaching. This was great, really happened through our partner, Rancho Los Amigos, on the other end, providing some lifestyle coaching and getting through the day-to-day, like how to make lists, how to remember things, driving therapy, like really getting somebody to be able to be functional again. Medication for sleep. This person was not getting any sleep. and feeling like her mood was off. So even just getting somebody to get some good sleep was really important. She had these little injections in her back and her neck for the neck pain that she had been experiencing. I mentioned the driver retraining, and then letters, right? Like letters to request accommodations for her at work so she can continue to keep those jobs that she so hard worked for, so that she could be able to continue. So sometimes when employers know the story and that we can write these letters for them, it can be very helpful, and it can mean the difference between somebody losing their job and somebody keeping their job. So next slide. So this is what we've done as part of this project. It's called the Brightening the Way project. Is we're really trying to highlight some awareness around this particular topic with head trauma and strangulation. We have a wonderful team of people that can support. We're very lucky here, and not everybody will be able to get into our services, but they will be able to get into a primary care doctor. That is the goal. That when people experience this, they can go into their primary doctor and say, "I need some extra help, and I think something else is happening." So she actually ended up not having traumatic brain injury, which we were very, very happy about. And we don't want to diagnose anybody with traumatic brain injury. That's a big diagnosis. But the way I equate it is, if somebody comes to me with, "I have weight loss, I have these night sweats, and I can't eat," I'm going to be thinking about the word cancer. Am I going to tell them that they have cancer? No, because I don't know. But what I do need to do is I need to investigate. So this is the same thing when the constellation of symptoms come together. You never want to diagnose anybody with anything, but you do need to explore some more. So this is what we've been doing, is raising that awareness. And then next slide. So we would like, if you're interested in helping support our efforts, we're actually building this little flyer. This is a draft. And we're ready to take it to some testing to see how people feel about it. Trying to get the message across that, hey, there are these extra symptoms that may be lingering after the abuse has taken place. So if you're interested in partnering with us, please let us know. And otherwise, I think we have one more slide. No, two more slides actually. Oh, this is a little checkbox for people to kind of keep tabs on their symptoms. And then the last slide is, if you are feeling, of course, that you're in crisis, or that you need somebody to talk to, or that you need to make a safety plan, we have a number here that can help support. So always keep this number, keep it handy, keep it in your phone. I know I keep it in my phone. Thank you, Valerie. And then with that, we'll take any questions. And thank you for sitting with us through this heavy topic.
Buenos días. Como promotora de salud.
Good morning. As a health promoter, I really appreciate that you are talking about this topic.
As a advocate of health, I appreciate that you brought up the subject.
También como miembro activo de la contra la violencia.
Also, as an active member against domestic violence in the East LA, I did participate in the vigil for October 23rd.
This division of East LA and Boyle Heights, I went to the vigil on October 23rd.
También hacer que, como aquí hay muchos caballeros, recuerden que también,
because here we have a lot of gentlemen, let's just remember that men are also victims of domestic violence, and in this event, they were raising their voice, men, and we're seeing that they are opening up to this topic.
In October, a lot of men opened up because they're also victims in regards to the subject.
Solo agradecerles que traigan estos temas.
So just to be grateful for bringing up this topic and sharing this new information so that we as health promoters can also share that information.
I just want to appreciate that you brought up the subject, and as advocates that we can also talk about this subject on the streets.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, please spread the awareness. I think we domestic violence, thank goodness, has made it to a lot of people's radar. We do know that it can happen to anyone despite any of your background. So thank you for bringing up that men experience this as well. People who identify as men experience this as well. And it can happen to really anyone of any background. Yes.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. And I do want to highlight too that as an agency, the East Los Angeles Women's Center does recognize that men can also be survivors or people that identify as men, individuals. And so that's exactly why we have services specifically tailored for men. We have the Men's Healing Circle and Talking Circle, which is an open space for men to come together and talk about their experience. That's whether they're survivors or they have a family, friend, loved one, daughter, who knows, that is a survivor and they don't know how to support them. So once again, it's a safe, non-judgmental space for men to come together and talk about their experience, or if their loved one has gone through that experience and they don't know how to support them. We also have another program called the Fatherhood Program, which is a 12-week course that helps men become positive father figures in one's life. Because we know what we noticed in our community, even if men wanted to make change, they didn't have that person to guide them. And so that's exactly what this program is for. And the beautiful thing about this program, it's not only just for fathers. They'll accept older brother, uncle, grandpa, whoever is interested in becoming a positive father figure in someone's life can join. And I do want to highlight that all our services are completely free. Everything is confidential. We don't ask for health insurance. We don't ask for an ID or anything like that. Our main goal is to make sure that if someone is going through abuse, someone needs the help, they can obtain it. Okay, if you ever need anything, you can go on our website. You can come here at the Wellness Center. We're there. We're more than happy to help or, share some information. Can everybody hear me?
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, Zoom. I have a question. Do you have any specific programs for high school students? Because I've noticed, or I know some students that are going through some of this, and I would love to bring that to one of the high schools that I work with. So yeah.
Yes. The answer is yes. We do a lot. That's a whole different presentation if you ever want me to go over the services, but we do have a youth component because we recognize that that's when it starts, right? If you think about it, when you're young and you get your crush and your hands are sweaty when you start seeing them, but unfortunately you get into that relationship and no one really teaches you what a healthy relationship looks like. And so in our youth program, we actually go over what does a healthy relationship look like? How do you set healthy boundaries? And that's not just in personal, intimate relationships. That's with friends, family members, loved ones, because at the end of the day, that's when you start building relationships, right? And unfortunately, that's actually where most of the abuse starts. Mm-hmm.
So would you be able to do a presentation or like an assembly?
I wouldn't be able to do it because that's actually someone else. Like I said, I work for the Family Justice Center, but I can definitely connect you with the right person. And I'm sure we can make it happen.
We need it. I mean, I'm just dealing with a kid right now going through this and she doesn't understand. It's not her fault.
You can get my number, my email. I got you. But one thing I do want to emphasize is because you said you know someone, right, that is currently going through this. One of the harsh lessons that I learned while doing this work, and I'm sure, and this is usually the example that we give the medical campus when we do these trainings, is I'm sure all of us have had a friend, a family member, a loved one that wasn't in a healthy relationship. And we constantly kept telling them, you deserve better. Why are you in that relationship? Why do you put up with so much? You should break up with that person. Do they ever listen to us? No, right? Unless you're a lot more influential than I am, I promise you most of the time they're not going to pay attention to us because it's when they're ready. It's when they start seeing this, right? Seeing the abuse, when they start recognizing it. And so part of our work is to kind of share that awareness too. We can't force anyone to do absolutely anything. And so all we really can do is provide a non-judgmental space and be like, hey, you know what? I care about you. These are my concerns. I just went to this presentation and I heard about the East Los Angeles Women's Center. They offer some great services. Everything is confidential. When you're ready, here's the hotline number. Here's the website. You let me know if you want to go to the Wellness Center and talk to them. I'm here for you. And that's all we really can do, because if we constantly push them, hey, why are you still with this person? Why are you still with this person? They're probably not going to want to listen to us and we're going to push them away from us. Does that make sense? And they're going to be hesitant to even bring it up.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's for me, it's more about bringing awareness because these kids do not know, like, hey, this is not a good relationship. The good thing is that she's no longer with the person. But there is a video of what happened. And it's just, I got the school involved and they're talking to her. But it's just making sure that the kids know. And that's what I really want to do.
I love that, honestly. And thank you so much. And that just speaks very highly of you, right? Of who you are and how much you care. And I promise that we're more than happy to kind of share this awareness because you're right. Unfortunately, our youth aren't really taught what a healthy relationship looks like. And that's exactly why we want to target it. But thank you.
Yeah, I think I'll leave you guys with that is really the patience that we have to have with people who are experiencing something difficult. And, patients often come to us and sometimes they're doing things they shouldn't be, right? They're eating things they shouldn't be and they're smoking. And, I'll ask them like, hey, have we thought about maybe cutting back on that tobacco, and then they might say like, oh, I'm not ready, and I'm like, okay, but you know what? I'm going to ask you again. Why? Because I care. So being patient and being persistent in a very gentle and loving way really goes a long way, because eventually those people come around and they're like, hey, you know what? I think that I'm ready now. So don't get mad. Don't take it personal when people are not ready to leave, but awareness is key, and just being persistent, and hey, I'm here for you, and hey, maybe I don't have all the answers, but we'll find them together. So thank you so much for your time.
Hi, I had
we have
one
more
question
questions.
just to qualify it. My name is Ari. I'm with the Latino Equality Alliance, an LGBT advocacy organization, and I appreciate your presentation. There was recently a research study released that showing that Latinas in particular are also victims in high percentages of domestic violence in same-sex relationships. So I'm wondering, is your program welcoming to the LGBT community?
Our program is welcome to absolutely everyone. But one thing that we do recognize as an agency is that sometimes another agency might be the best fit. Luckily, we're in California and we're in Los Angeles, so there are plenty of actual agencies that offer these types of services, right? So if, for example, they initiate that conversation with us and they do identify with the LGBTQA plus community, and maybe they want to have a therapist that identifies with their sex preference or what they identify as, then we can refer them out to an agency that has counselors, that has case managers that identify with the LGBTQA plus community. And just to emphasize this further too, for example, here at LA General Medical Center, when we respond to this hospital, sometimes we have individuals that come from different parts of the world, right? Speak a different language, have a different culture, a different religion. And so we're going to refer them out if they're interested in those agencies. For example, CPAF, the Center for Pacific Asian Families. They have individuals who speak Mandarin and many different languages. So if a survivor comes to us that speaks Mandarin, we'd rather, at the end of the day, it's far more powerful for them to have a therapist that speaks their language and knows their culture. And so as an agency, we're more than happy to help everyone, but we also recognize that we might not be the best fit for everyone. And so we're going to connect them with whoever can offer them the best services that is nearest to them as well. So for example, if they're from Palmdale or Riverside, we're not going to try and, connect them with a counselor here, because if they have to drive 2 hours to go to therapy, that's just more stressful for them. So we're going to connect them to the nearest agency that is in their location as well. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Karla and Valerie. It's a wonderful example of the partnership between our nonprofit organizations and Los Angeles General to meet the needs of the community, and a really insightful presentation about something that I think probably hasn't been so well known. So very, very much appreciating that presentation. I think we've answered all the questions and I didn't see anything on the Zoom, so we'll move forward in our presentation. Next steps, we are here to talk a little bit more about the Centennial Partners Project. This is, of course, the very exciting redevelopment project for the historic General Hospital West Campus. And to tell us a little bit more about some updates is Claudia Cardenas from Primestor. Come ahead, Claudia.
Thank you, Heather. Good morning, everyone. My name is Claudia Cardenas with the Primestor Centennial Partners team. And we're here to give you some brief updates, as Heather mentioned. We wanted to share with you some activities that we had in October, starting with a youth coalition meeting that was hosted by Legacy LA. We engaged with a group of youth. There were about 25 participants, and we presented information related to the master plan, the planning and design phase that we're currently in. The youth had very thoughtful questions and comments about the information that was presented. They actually had very detailed questions about the plan for affordable housing, as well as financing strategies to help maximize the affordable housing component of the project. So it was really exciting to have this demographic participate, and we look forward to continuing the engagement with this group, and or not just this group, but youth in general. Next slide, please. We also hosted, along with the Wellness Center, a community celebration. And this was an event that was intended to mark everything that has been achieved to date with the support of you, the community. It was a very joyful event. We had music, food, and Supervisor Solis attended, and she provided, some very encouraging words about the process that has been taking place in the efforts to bring this healthy village to fruition. So it was great to have her there to provide, the background on what has transpired to date, as well as, how we move forward together. And with your support, as we continue to make progress on the project. And then we also want to extend an invitation for our next event, which is scheduled for Saturday, December 6th. This is the next step of the planning and design phase of the master plan. This will be hosted via Zoom. We will be dropping the flyers in the chat, but I'm also here if any of you would like to register. Come see me during the break, and we can go ahead and register you to participate. And if you have any questions about this event or anything that was shared, please let me know. So when we provided an update at last month's meeting, we shared that for our first community workshop on September 27th, we had 3 watch parties at different venues throughout the local area. And we wanted to share that that's the plan for the December 6th as well. We will be having watch parties at the same location, at the same locations as previously. So the Wellness Center, Alma Family Services, and Eastside Leads.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Alejandro Castro y me gustan mucho estas reuniones.
Good morning. My name is Alejandro Castro, and I really like
Good morning. My name
these
is Alejandro
meetings
Castro, and I really like these meetings
Porque soy comunitario, trabajador comunitario, perdón.
because
Soy
I'm a
trabajador comunitario
community
y siempre hay
worker,
una respuesta
and
que
there's
la
always
comunidad necesita, una
an
respuesta
answer for
actualizada.
the community. There's always updated
I'm a
information
community
for
worker,
us.
and the community is always looking for up-to-date answers.
Y siempre ustedes están aquí para apoyar
And
a la
you're
comunidad.
always here to
Quiero
support the
felicitarlos por su
community.
proyecto
I want to
grandioso y es
congratulate
imposible
you
no
for
celebrar
this
este
great
gran
project.
logro en medio de tantas
We have to
dificultades
celebrate
fuertes de nuestro
this
momento.
project before all
And
the
I
struggle
appreciate
that
the
we
hard
have
work
been
you're
through.
doing, and it's hard not to celebrate the accomplishments on this great project, and especially during these very hard times.
Quiero agradecer junto con todo el equipo comunitario de trabajadores
I
comunitarios
want to
a
thank the
nuestra supervisora
community
Hilda Solís
workers
por estar siempre con
and
nosotros en los
Supervisor
momentos
Hilda
más
Solis.
difíciles,
She's
especialmente
always
hoy
with
que
us when
estamos
we
con
are
Food Bank,
having
con
hard times
la
with the
distribución de
food bank, for
alimentos,
example.
pero también en este gran proyecto que va a ayudar
And
mucho a
also in
embellecer
this
nuestra ciudad
project
y
that
a
is going to
darle
help
ánimos a nuestra comunidad.
to our city to
And I
look more
also want to
beautiful.
thank all of our community partners and Supervisor Solis for this project, and also especially now that we have to do food banks. So I want to thank the whole community.
Felicito a Centennial Partners por su gran valor, carácter para enfrentar todos los
I
todo lo que
congratulate
pudo
you
oponerse,
for
pero al
the
final
character and
lograr
value
este valioso
before
proyecto para nuestra
this
comunidad.
project
Gracias.
to our community. Thank
And
you
I
so
congratulate
much.
Centennial Partners for their courage and their characters in order to chug along with this project. So thank you very much.
Gracias.
Hi, this is Adi again. I was in one of those pictures there. I actually got a chance to participate in both of the events that you're talking about. One is the community engagement opportunity, which I appreciate. I think you had like over 200 people participating in 3 different locations simultaneously. So it's quite a feat. But I think the important part of that is the community input and engaging community. And I appreciate that that's happening and that continues. I know from the work that we've done through HICP, the many community meetings, engagement meetings that we've had, that community is very, very interested in making sure that this project not only reflects and supports the needs of the community, but actually provides benefit to the community. It really, that hospital, that image there, right, is showing how ominous it is for the community. It's up on the hill. It's a symbol for the community, and I look forward for it to become a gathering space for the community. And whether it's through jobs, through educational opportunities, through affordable housing, through recreational spaces and cultural spaces, grocery store, community vendors, all of those above are things that the community has expressed specifically in times past. And I hope that the community who your organizations who are listening here today can be engaged in that, because this is the opportunity for us to make sure that what the community needs are actually manifested through this project. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ari. And actually, that has been like one of the great benefits that we have found in the, becoming part of this project, is that HICP has done a lot of community outreach for years before we were even engaged in this project. So we are building on that community engagement, and HICP continues to be a huge part of the process. And in fact, Rosa and Heather are going to be sharing some information about additional community engagement that will happen to ensure that the community is, the local community is the recipients of the benefits that are going to be generated by the projects.
I think this is perfect setup for the next portion of our presentation.
Yes.
So why don't
Good
we move right
segue.
ahead? Thank you so much, Claudia. All right. So we thank very much Ari's commentary and Claudia's presentation. It really does set up the next thing we want to talk with you about today, which is the Community Benefits Agreement Steering Committee opportunity for the campus. Yes, thank you. So as was just discussed, one of the wonderful opportunities as part of this project is to negotiate with Centennial partners to provide community benefits as part of the project scope back to the community. All of those lovely things that Ari just mentioned, that is exactly what we're talking about. So how does this happen? Well, let's talk a little bit about what's called a community benefits agreement, which is an agreement that is signed by a developer with the local community as it relates to a project. Next slide. So what is a community benefits agreement? It is a formal agreement, a signed contract between community groups and a real estate developer that requires a development project to include specific amenities and or mitigations to the local community. In exchange, the community groups agree to publicly support the project or at least not oppose it. So what does that really mean? That means this is the opportunity for the community to come together in partnership with the developer to define what those benefits look like. How does the community want to participate in this project? What do they want to see here? What will make their lives better? So this is the process we are in right now. So the community benefits agreement is that signed legal agreement that delineates, that spells out all of those elements. Who participates in the CBA? We have the community that participates, the local government that participates to facilitate and ensure that the agreements are achievable and met, the developers, and then we create that legally binding and enforceable contract. Next slide. So how does this community benefits agreement work? Well, the community benefits agreement, again, is a written agreement that translates the community priorities into enforceable commitments. They're actual commitments made by the developer that certain things will be part of the project scope. It prevents promises from getting lost after approvals, and it builds trust, accountability, and shared ownership. So what are some examples of community benefits? Well, local hiring, job training, and workforce pathways so that the community can economically participate in the project. Affordable housing and community ownership. That's definitely a highlight of this particular project as we look to the future. Small business space with rent protections, parks, childcare, and open space, transportation and access improvements, environmental and sustainability measures, and community inclusion, services, and spaces designated for community, as well as the aesthetics and cultural representation, so that the project looks and feels like it's part of the larger community and really represents its vision. So how are we going to move forward to get this community benefits agreement going? Well, first step is we're going to be organizing to form the CBA, the Community Benefits Agreement Steering Committee. That is a group of folks that are going to come together to help to design this community benefits agreement, the written agreement. That committee will meet to refine the priorities and opportunities and engage the community to gather additional inputs. Then the committee will decide what benefits matter most, what success looks like, and what rises to the top for the negotiation portion of the process. That's the prioritization of those community benefits. Next, the community will negotiate with the developer to find common ground. Then the agreement itself, the community benefits agreement, will be drafted and signed, a legal agreement signed by all parties. And finally, the last step is that implementation of the community benefits agreement and monitoring the success. So the developer reports back and tells how they are doing along the agreement that was reached. So how can the community participate in this process? One opportunity is to serve on the Community Benefits Agreement Steering Committee, and we're presenting that opportunity to you today. So everyone here in this room that has participated in the project to date and has a good understanding of the project is invited to submit an interest form to join the Community Benefits Agreement Steering Committee. If that's not possible for you because of the time commitments or other reasons, there is still an opportunity to meet with the steering committee and share your thoughts and vision for the project itself. The steering committee is going to be engaging in public input sessions that are directed by the steering committee to continuously engage the community and hear more back from all of the stakeholders. How is this Community Benefits Agreement Steering Committee going to work? The committee itself will be comprised of members of the Centennial Project Community Advisory Committee and HICP members. The HICP, the backbone organization for HICP, will host the steering committee meetings and support the public input process led by the steering committee. The committee meetings will be facilitated by the county leadership and led by the Department of Economic Opportunity. And finally, Centennial partners will join the steering committee as invited, as requested. They're not a permanent member of the steering committee, but they will join to provide insight and guidance as the negotiation process is underway. And here's our timeline. And we have a very rapid timeline because we want to have this community benefits agreement in place to present to this HICP body on February 6th, which is our February HICP meeting. So how do we get from here today to February 6th? Well, we're going to issue an invitation to submit an interest form to participate in the steering committee today. We will have that committee formed by a week from today, which is November 14th. Then the meetings will immediately start the week thereafter to understand the roles and responsibilities of the steering committee, to start that process of refining the community interests and needs and starting to prioritize what the project benefits should be. Then we're going to be moving into drafting the CBA in December and working in parallel to do public engagement during that same period to, again, hear back from the community and make sure all stakeholder voices are represented. Then in January, we're going to be going into drafting and negotiation on the CBA with an opportunity to present back the final community benefits agreement to HICP on Friday, February 6th. So here we go. Our opportunity and the invitation to you who are familiar with the project is, would you like to join us and serve on the CBA committee? If so, we have an interest form that you can access via the QR code. There's some flyers in the room if you want them, so you can click on that to get to the interest form. We also have the link that is put into the chat. You can click through onto the JOT form. We do ask that everyone who is interested, please complete that simple form and get it to us as soon as possible, but no later than noon on Wednesday, November 12th. We have to make the final composition of the committee by Friday, November 14th, and notify everyone so that we can move into meetings the very next week. We do know that it's an intensive commitment of time, so not everyone may be available to participate. It is the holiday season, we understand, and this is just something that needs to move very quickly so we can get that written agreement in place by the end of January. So we're anticipating probably weekly to bi-weekly meetings between now and then, probably a couple hours at a stretch. So anyway, please fill out the interest form. If you have questions, we're happy to take them now, or we're about to move into our break and I'm happy to answer any individual questions you may have. But let's open it up now. Does anyone have questions or want some clarification on where we are and what the process and next steps are? All right.
This is Teresa. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Yes, go ahead, please.
I've also been a part of the project early on, and I just to let everyone know and hopefully invite more people. The team really, if you're interested in being a part of this, the team really works with amongst everyone schedule. So it's not something where one person delegates the timeline or the time that you meet. So just keep that in mind, and hopefully that will help you to be more involved. As you come together as a team, you really work out the schedule for the meetings. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa. We appreciate your weighing in. We know you participated in many of these processes in the past, so thank you so much for that. Pam, I see your hand raised, but you've also put a question in the chat. Would you like to ask your question out loud?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Pamela with the Eastside Leads Coalition, and a member of this partnership. My question is there a limit to the size of the CBA steering committee?
Yes, there is. For practical reasons, we are looking at a membership of no more than 21.
Thank you.
Other questions, points of clarification?
Yeah, clarification. You mentioned that you had to have been involved in this work in the past. And what level does that mean?
In the interest form, we're asking people to please explain their understanding of the development project itself, so that there's some familiarity coming in. There isn't a hard and fast answer to that, but I think we do want people to step in with an understanding of the steps that we've gone through as it pertains to forming the informed section of the feasibility study, how that informed the RFP process, and the kind of the through line that's continuing at this point in time. So many of the things you mentioned, Ari, are kind of those elements that we'd want someone to have familiarity with as we walk into this process. So we're not starting from an absolute, no history in terms of the community priorities that have been expressed to date. Other questions or comments? All right. Well then, like I say, please click through on the QR code if you're interested. If you have additional questions, please come find me now during the break. We are going to take, as we like to do, not only for our own benefit, the opportunity to network and talk with people in the room, and also for our lovely translators to take a quick little breather. We're going to take about a 5-minute break. So we'll be back here ready to go again with our next presentation just about 9:52. So please go grab that quick break, get some coffee and refreshments in the back of the room, and we'll be back in about 5-6 minutes. Thank you. All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started with the next round of presentations. If everyone could wrap up their fabulous conversations and return to their seats, that would be terrific. Sorry. All right. Ready to go? Move on. Next slide, please. Okay. So next up, we're going to hear some presentations on the Restorative Care Village Century Project. We got to experience a really wonderful, groundbreaking ceremony the other day, and I'm excited to hear some updates from Alex from Century Housing and Lori from Power to Works, which is the workforce development partner on the project. So Alex and Lori, I don't know which one of you wishes to go first, but we will stop sharing and allow you to share on the screen.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. We can start us off. Jen, can you pull up the PowerPoint, please?
Yes, I just sent a request to share. Perfect.
While that happens, good morning, everyone. My name is Alex Stamas with Century Housing. I'm so excited to come to you all again, unfortunately virtually this time, if you'll forgive me. But we certainly have several good updates that really have us excited about the project.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, but in presenter mode.
Okay.
So just try sharing again, if you don't mind.
One second here.
No problem. While you get that pulled up, I can give a refresher of the project for those who are either new to it or still haven't had their coffee yet. So our portion of the restorative care village is the affordable housing and permanent supportive housing piece. We are technically phase 3. Phase 3 is 296 units of housing. We have split that into 2 phases. Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Jen. Do you mind going to the next slide, please? Alrighty, so these are our 2 phases of affordable housing. You can see the building at the top of that picture is phase 1. That on the bottom of the picture is phase 2. Each building has approximately 150 units. The building that is more angular is the senior housing building. And then both buildings have half permanent supportive housing, so those units for those who have experienced homelessness. And then the other half of the units are traditional affordable housing, with the income ranges between 30% and 60% of the area median income. There's a parking garage in phase 1. We also have a lot of interesting additional uses in the buildings that we've talked about before: community gardens, peer respite centers, where people who have already transitioned out of homelessness help those who are currently transitioning, workforce development spaces, retail spaces, a workforce kitchen, and some really prominent opportunities for art, and some transportation improvements, and many more things that I'd happily tell you about if you gave me all the time in the world, or if you ever see me around. But today we're very excited to share with you some updates, some really material updates that have us excited. So phase 1 is in construction. If you go to the next slide, we have a couple of videos for you that I'm hoping will work. But before we get there, phase 1 is in construction. We started construction in late June and we're moving very quickly. And also phase 2 is expected to receive its final funding source next month, which allows us and sets us up well to plan to start construction, God willing, in June or July of next year. Meaning that both these projects are happening pretty quickly as far as affordable housing goes, which we're very grateful about. And to show you, Jen, if you now go to the next slide, this is the current status of phase 1. And in fact, it's even a little bit further along than this shows. This was taken about 2 weeks ago from the air. You can see the general hospital there in the top right corner, what you're looking at is the concrete parking garage upon which the rest of the building will sit. Those little sticks you see are actually the columns that will support the rest of the building. And that blank area you see on the bottom left is where phase 2 will go. That's the senior housing building that has the workforce kitchen. So construction is moving very quickly. We're very, very slightly ahead of schedule, and we're hoping to keep it that way. Construction, that doesn't often happen in construction, but we're trying our best. Now, I had the architects prepare something for everyone that I think is really interesting. Yeah, thanks, Jen. You can just leave it paused for a second. So when we design these buildings, they create these very elaborate 3D models of what the projects will look like and how all of the building systems will fit together. There's certainly a construction benefit for that. One of the other really cool benefits is that you can see the buildings and walk through them virtually before they're built. I also see there's a question in the chat about the workforce kitchen. So you'll see it in this, what we call a fly-through. The workforce kitchen is a space that will be a commercial kitchen with an attached retail space where we plan to partner with the LA Habitational House, which is a workforce development partner that's been to HICP and presented to run a workforce development program where they intend to train community members on basic cook and chef skills such that they can train in the kitchen, create things that are then sold in the retail and cafe spaces, and if they so choose, take those skills then to other economic opportunities or jobs that they may find. Now we're going to start this fly through and I'll talk you through it. If you don't mind hitting play. So this building that you see in front of you is the phase 2 building. So this is the senior building. We're standing on Mission Road right now looking at the building. You can see phase 1 there peeking out on the right side. Those big cutouts you see in the building are the mural opportunities. So when we get further in construction, we'll have a lot of community meetings about what we want those murals to be, similar to how the other RCP phases were done. You can see this phase 2 building stands up on stilts. Right now we're standing at the corner of Mission and Griffin. And when you go inside the building, what we have there on the left, that glass you see, that's the workforce kitchen and the cafe and retail spaces. So all this is open. You'll see community rooms as we fly through on the right and the left. And this is all the landscaped area that will be available. This is another community room right in front of you to the left. Our video is a little choppy, but hopefully you get the sense of it. We are now on the podium, on the parking garage of phase 1. So there's parking below us. There's community rooms to the left. There's units up above. What you see there not modeled in the kind of great beyond is the train tracks for reference. This is a barbecue area on the left, more community rooms directly in front of you. Those are the units on the upper floors. We're going to go back under phase 1. And we will, that's phase 2 you're looking at on the left, phase 1 on the right. You see on the left here coming up a kind of a raised structure. That's a vine screen where we will have other community uses. You know, you'll have some nice greenery here and just another place for people to lounge and relax. And then again, on the left side, those are the units of phase 2. So like I said, phase 1 is in construction. You saw the overhead picture. Phase 2, which is this building that you just saw primarily, we plan to start construction middle of next year. And we're hoping to finish phase 1 in 2027, phase 2 in 2028. The phase 1 construction, as I mentioned, has been going well. Lori will tell you about the workforce progress we've made and the progress we still hope to make to try to even improve that from where we are now. We've had no security issues at the site. Thankfully, we have a strong fence, 24-hour cameras, and we've been painting the graffiti. So it really is a project we're excited about. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Do we have any questions for Alex about the restorative care village, Century Housing? I see a hand in the back. Monica Alcaraz.
Hi, I just have a question. I see the trees. It's great, but how small will the trees be when they're initially planted or placed?
So that's really a budget consideration. Always our goal is to buy the biggest trees we can so that when they are initially placed, they're bigger, but they get exponentially more expensive the bigger they are. So trees normally come in, and forgive me if you're already familiar with this, but normally come in a few standard sizes, either a 36-inch box, they call it, meaning the root ball, or a 60-inch or a 24-inch. So most of the trees that we have in the budget are 24 to 36, which is a pretty good size tree to start with. They're not massive, but a lot of these trees will grow to good proportions in the first, call it 3 years of the project. And I will say that that fly through doesn't even have all of the landscape that we're planning. We pushed the architects to get it out so we could have it for this meeting, and they were clear to tell me it will be more green than the fly through even showed.
And we have a question from Pam in the chat. Can you explain what a workforce kitchen is?
I think I did, but Pam, if you have additional questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Yes, thank you, Alex. Regarding the community spaces, I don't recall. You may have said this before, but who will manage the community room? And what will be the guidelines to renting or using the community room? Will it be restricted to just residents, or will your organization be open to leasing it, or not leasing it, I'm sorry, renting it to the public?
Yeah, it's a good question. And as we talked about our community benefits agreement, that was something that came up. What the community room are primarily for the benefit of the residents, and they are managed by the on-site property management company, which is also us. So there's continuity. But that said, we have no issue to the extent that the community, for example, local nonprofits would like to use the community room. We're happy to talk about that and find ways that that can work.
Thank you. And remind us also, do you already have a plan for leasing? I know you're just starting construction.
Generally, yes. Depends on what you're asking, but I can give you the overall plan. You can tell me if you want specifics on something.
More specifically, the timing. How long do you foresee you're going to be promoting it? Like just your process, if you can give us.
Yeah, well, we'll plan to start promoting the building roughly 6 months before it's done. And what we intend to do is have community workshops. We'll certainly come to the HICP also to tell people when the applications are open, how they can apply, and help with the applications as best as we can. You know, we are not allowed to say that only this community can live there, but and that's a fair housing rule, but what we can do is have a lot of events in the community and say, you're the first ones to know about it, apply as you see fit. And that's what we intend to do.
Thank you. And just closing, I know we're still a ways off, but as we near it, a year, perhaps just adding it as homework for HICP, maybe a year before that starts, could we discuss those lease up requirements? Because it has been my experience working with East LA Community Corporation, other orgs, that while you're doing this lease up, you require specific income information.
Yeah.
6 months sometimes is not enough for certain residents to gather that income requirement or to prepare for the income requirement requests. So I think even if us as HICP and the wider community could know like those guidelines a year in advance, that would be very helpful.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. All right. With that, I will turn it over
questions?
to Lori.
Yeah, thank you so much. Right before you leave, Alex, did want to give you some kudos. We had a compliment in the chat. Yolanda says the fly through is phenomenal. The bird's eye view, even better than the previous presentations. Finally, one real housing solution for our community. So, congratulations, Alex and team. All
Thank
right.
you.
And now we'll take it away with Lori, your partner in workforce development. Very excited to hear from Lori.
Hi, everyone. I believe I sent my slideshow over to an email this morning. If not, I can share my screen.
Lori, why don't you go ahead and share your screen? That way you can control the pace of your presentation. How about that?
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And then while I'm sharing my screen, I just want everyone to know I also have Corey. He's my manager. He's on the call as well.
Good morning, everyone. I am Corey Hyde, and I'm the Senior Program Manager with Power to Workers over placements and outreach.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yep, we're good. Thanks, Lori.
Okay, thank you. So as Alex mentioned, we are working with Century on the Restorative Care Village. We are the jobs coordinator for the project. So the slideshow will cover the events that we've held for the project and partnerships that we are currently working on creating as well for the project, and as well as future events that we are planning on having for this project. So in the month of September, we hosted the 213 job fair in the area of the project, and that was a way for us to kind of get our feet into the community. We gave these flyers out to our WorkSource Center partners, like the Boyle Heights WorkSource Center and the East LA Occupational Center. And this was with subcontractors from the project that were able to attend to meet possible hires for the local hire goal on the project. And then on this, there's also a picture from the actual job fair itself as well. And then also at our office, we hosted what we call a power hour. It's basically where we invite participants that are in our database that live in that 5-mile radius of the project to our office to kind of give them like information about the project, an overview of what they can expect, and also get their information, make sure it's up to date so that when it is possible to have them out on the project, that we are able to contact them in a timely manner. So for this, we held it in October, as you can see on the flyer. So that was a pretty good turnout. We got to meet participants in our database that are really interested on getting onto this project, and also just to like have a better idea of their needs and what they would need if they were to ever get placed, whether it be if they have tools, if they have enough money for like gas cards or even like method of transportation. It was just a better way to see what they would need to be able to thrive on the project. And then currently we are working and are in contact with our youth build partners like La Casa Youth Build and El Monte. And then we are talking to CEO Works, which is the Center of Employment, sorry, the Center for Employment Opportunities. We are working on establishing a partnership with them to have their cohort have like a pre-screening and orientation process with us. And that is basically an opportunity for us to meet their graduates from their program to see what construction experience they have, what certifications they're currently getting to see if they qualify so that we can have them out on the project. And we are still waiting for a date as their cohort hasn't graduated yet. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, we are working with the East LA Occupational Center and Boyle Heights WorkSource Centers, that those are our partners that we have already established. And they receive all flyers for all the job fairs that we do in the area, or for any outreach and engagement that we may want to have them present at. Thank you.
right. Thank you so much for the presentation. Do we have any questions for Power to Workers? I see a hand raised with Ari. Can we get Ari a microphone? Thank you, Elijah. I should say questions for Corey and Lori.
Hi, thank you so much for your work
Appreciate
on
that.
this. I wanted to, that last slide showed the organizations that you're working with. Is there, the HICP has about 40 plus organizations that it's connected with. Is there a way of having a share of those flyers through the HICP org so that we can disseminate to our folks? And then what would be the central space? Some organizations do like this toolkit that gets shared, through a shareable file these days. So maybe something like that. But I think when I saw one of these events recently, the date had already passed by the time I saw it. So I think timeliness is also another concern.
Absolutely. I could fill that question, Lori. Definitely, we would love to collaborate if the HICP committee has other organizations that we are not privy to. Typically, our process, we have the orientation at our home office every second and fourth Tuesday of the month, where candidates submit their resume and then they come into our home office for a pre-screening and enrollment session where we see their qualifications, help go through their resume and see how we can better guide them to union opportunities or a trade that they would be most fit for. In past times where it was more time sensitive, we definitely have collaborated where we'll come out and host a orientation pre-screening at a workforce development partner's location, just to mitigate some of the travel concerns or transportation for the amount of participants. So we're definitely open to any partners that have participants that are in the 5 mile radius tier, which is that first tier where it's a 50% aspirational goal to get as many of those participants from the community on the project. So yeah, we're definitely open to any workforce development partners, any community partners and project stakeholders that we would be able to meet with. But I'm not necessarily sure if there's a way for us to kind of transfer that information, but we can definitely create some Excel spreadsheet maybe of contacts that we would be able to kind of facilitate that meeting and put something together where we're able to do an impromptu work orientation or pre-screening with our staff coming onto their location.
Well, I think that perhaps another idea is, Heather, and we can talk about this offline if you'd like. We are more than happy to send you all of the flyers for the upcoming event if you wanted to then distribute them. And then, Ari, if it was someone from your organization or others wanted to reach out and say, that's great, we'd love if you could come talk to our folks in person, that's something we're really happy to do.
Yes.
Really,
Thank you so much.
The success of this is in people knowing about it. So
Right.
anything we can do to make it more clear, we are open
Yeah,
to.
I think both the physical flyers as well as kind of virtual assets that could be pushed out through social media. If you all want to share that with us, we can distribute that out to the HICP membership. You're also welcome, if you have links to anything, to put them in the chat right now. That way you'll connect immediately with the Zoom-based audience. And then, like you say, Alex, we can work to print some flyers out here or receive some physical flyers to distribute hard copy out in the community as well, to our local partner base. But it's exciting, and we're very much looking forward to getting the word out and letting people know about these exciting workforce opportunities. I see a hand raised from Guadalupe.
Yes, and thank you, Corey, Lori, Alex, for the presentation. I think definitely, Corey, you were sharing also that you do orientations certain days out of the month, right? At the home office. And I think it would also be a great idea to maybe, coordinate with Rosa and Heather and maybe see about doing an orientation on the campus or near the campus, wherever it makes it more easy to get to, more locally here. And then obviously with promo materials ahead of time, so that folks have awareness, and whoever's interested could, have time to participate, make plans, so that it's more local, right, as well. So
Absolutely.
having some of those orientations, yeah.
Yes, we're definitely open, and we would have basically all of our staff in attendance to make sure that we're able to um, properly give the orientation and pre-screen as many participants that are coming. So we could definitely look at creating a registry. That way the community members are aware of the opportunities, and we can gauge the interest in how many participants we expect to make sure that our staff is fully aware and capable of handling the amount of participants that are there. Thank you, Guadalupe.
Yes, thank you so much. We have additional questions or comments for Alex, Corey, or Lori?
And I'm going to put my contact information in the chat. That way, if anyone has any questions, or we can further follow up with these workforce development partners or community engagement members, that I'll be able to be reached. So I'll go ahead and put my information in the chat now.
Yes, Corey, thank you so much. We do have another hand raised by Vivian. Vivian, please ask your question.
Yes, thank you very much. Just with regards to outreach, I think that I did put it in the chat already, but I think it's good to share it with everybody, to also reach out to the Little Tokyo Service Center so that you can actually broaden your outreach, as well as attending the new board of neighborhood councils that we have here in Boyle Heights at their monthly meeting. I think that's another additional resource to actually help as people are seeking employment. And I think these two areas can actually help with your outreach, but also help, bring people to get jobs. Thank you.
Thank you for those wonderful suggestions, Vivian. And we will definitely take that to heart. As part of our engagement related to the Centennial Project and the Century Projects, all of the events happening here on this campus, we are regularly attending local neighborhood council meetings, and we would be delighted to bring flyers to those meetings. So great suggestion, and we look forward to getting those materials so we can get them out into the community. Other questions or comments? Well, I did actually have a question for you, Corey and Lori. What other projects in this East Side area are you working with? Are there projects in addition to the Restorative Care Village Century Project that might be of interest or might be an opportunity for employment for community residents?
Great question. I do know that we have another project that is in the Pomona area, which is the Prisma Artist Loft that Lori is also the placement coordinator on. They do have a very similar metric as far as hiring for Pomona residents. So I know that's the most relative project to this area that is currently currently has a active work on site. So that would be the Pomona project and the Prisma Artist Loft project in Pomona.
Great. Thank you for that, that note.
And then the other thing I'll note is that when we start the phase 2 project here next year, our need for local hire will effectively double. So now is certainly the time. If you know people, one person, 3 people, full organizations, we are happy and eager to talk to them. So please let us know.
Yeah, I imagine that's true, that not just for this project, but for others. If we know people in the community that are interested in this hiring opportunity, get connected to Power 2 workers so that you can be on their mailing and distribution list going forward. I guess the other question I would have, Corey and Lori, is your workforce opportunities, are they accessible in both English and Spanish?
Yes, they are.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I think with that, looks like we are wrapping up this portion of our program and amazingly right on time. I'm so excited. That's very rare for us here at HICP. We so often run off over, but we're going to move on to our final presenter of the morning, and that is Christopher Chavez from the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health, who's here to talk with us a bit about the security plans for the restorative care village restorative care village 4 and 5 that are coming online that are currently in the construction phase. So Christopher, thank you so much for joining us today. We will turn over the Zoom podium to you.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with you all and listen in on all the great and exciting stuff that's going on over at LA General and our campus. So my name's Christopher Chavez. I'm with the Department of Mental Health Security Services Unit. Our role in the restorative care village is overseeing the security for the RCV, so the Restorative Care Village. Just want to let everyone know we did meet with, we had a actual security assessment or walkthrough on October 20th. So the folks that were involved in that assessment was the Department of Mental Health Security Services Unit. We had also the Department of Health Services, so our LA General, we had some LA General DHS representation there. We also had LAPD Hollenbeck Division, along with the LAPD Mental Health Assessment Unit. A lot of their sergeants and lieutenants were there as well. So we were able to walk the restorative care village and kind of see the phase 4 and 5 that is being built there, but also to look at what's already currently there and how we can address any sort of security concerns that we're having or experiencing currently, as well as looking at potential areas of interest in that particular area once phase 4 and 5 are there. So one of the things that we identified was that we definitely need to add some signage around the campus. One of the things that we discussed was putting up signage such as no loitering, letting everyone know that there are CCTV cameras throughout the campus, and also as well as the sidewalk areas and areas of interest. The reason behind that is LAPD mentioned that these are areas of interest, and in many cases, a lot of incidents happen along the sidewalk and the bus stops, as I know a lot of our community based organizations have identified those areas as of concern. So these signages will allow us to clear some of those areas, and also for LAPD to have some sort of support, right, in terms of addressing those concerns for us when and if needed, our security personnel to call in for support on that. So we looked at the bus stop, corners, sidewalks, the stairs that lead up to State Street. So we're going to look at some signage there. We're in communication with the Department of Health Services, with their management team and administration team and so forth, to place signage throughout the campus. There is going to be CCTV cameras throughout the campus as well, the Restorative Care Village, I should say, in the exterior as well as in the interior of phase 4 and 5 as well. We're going to have security personnel directly hired through the operators who are going to be operating within the phase 4 and 5 facilities, as well as we're going to have security personnel through DHS, who is going to be monitoring the campus. This was going to be also on foot patrol and as well as vehicle patrols. So we're going to have a golf cart that's going to be patrolling the Restorative Care Village regularly, as well as having 2 station guards at our phase 5 facility. Any questions so far? I can keep going if there isn't any questions, or I can answer questions towards the end as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Christopher, for that opportunity. Does anyone have any questions? Want to, help direct a question to Christopher about, how security is going to work on the campus as we bring the Restorative Care Village 4 and 5 online?
Mhm.
I think I see a hand going up again. Ari Gutierrez, always with her insightful comments.
Sorry about that. So, I do drive through through the campus on a regular basis because we go to the child care center. So often I see people who literally are on the sidewalk crawling to the hospital or sleeping on the sidewalk, etc. So, I mean, clearly they're in medical despair. Will security be able to notify appropriate authority or service teams for the people who need help like that?
That is a great question. Actually, that's something that came up during our walk and our assessment of the campus was how we're going to support, right? And identify if someone needs immediate care or if it's somebody that just needs some sort of attention or redirecting of services. But what we're doing is that we notified security also, as well as LAPD. They stated that if there is a medical emergency, that 911 would be called by security immediately. One of the things that we want to make sure is that security personnel isn't triaging, right? That they're not
Christopher, I'm sorry, I think you cut out.
I'm sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, no, we can hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm
sorry. I was muted. I apologize for that.
Not a problem.
Okay, great question, by the way. One of the things that we discussed during our walkthrough and our assessment was that particular incident or scenario, right? Is how we're going to respond in the event that somebody has a medical emergency, whether it's on the sidewalk or on the Restorative Care Village campus. So one thing is security. We don't want to rely on security to triage, to determine whether or not there is a medical emergency or not. So if they identify something as being an emergency, Hollenbeck Division wants us to call 911. And then let the EMT team or law enforcement come out and assess and determine what services need to be rendered. One of the things where at other facilities that we have is we can't rely on security to triage or to determine what level of care this person may or may not need. So those are things that we obviously discussed and is going to go into our security plan, as well as our post orders when we place our guards in the Restorative Care Village. So I hope that answers your question. So we are definitely aware of that, and we are going to have a system in place to address those concerns and if someone should need medical attention.
Thank you for that comment, Christopher. A follow-up question for you about that emergency response. We're looking at this large campus with all these different security infrastructure, kind of trying to serve the consistent population. So when you refer to 911, would that be for anyone on the street side, but also within the parameters of the Restorative Care Village footprint? Or
yes, correct.
Is there a different response for the inside the campus?
Well, for the campus itself, so for Restorative Care Village, LAPD Hollenbeck Division is who's going to be assigned to the Restorative Care Village. Hence why we decided to meet with their leadership team, the lieutenants, the sergeants, and identify the areas of interest, identify the Restorative Care Village so that they know this would be any calls that are received. This would be the facilities to show up to and respond to, as well as along the, I believe that's zonal, and as well as Mission. Right, because we're right on the corner of Mission and Zonal. So those are the areas that they're going to be responding to. I know we have LA County Sheriff's Department also on campus, over near the hospital and things like that. But again, there's jurisdictional points that have to be followed and respected. So we're looking at that. But we've already identified as LAPD Hollenbeck Division being the #1 responsive department in terms of our restorative care village.
So yeah, they will be the first responder team for any crisis moment that you experience at the restorative care village.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
Do we have additional questions for Christopher at this time, or shall we let him continue on with his presentation? Okay, Christopher, continue on.
Sure. Thank you so much. So as I was mentioning, we are going to have vehicle patrols as well as foot patrols, and there's going to be a strong presence. But one of the things that I highlighted during our walk and our assessment was that we want to make the campus or the restorative care village welcoming, right? With taking in the community-based organizations that are in our community, taking into account what we're trying to do there, and just seeing all the great presentations this morning and what the goal and the overall holistic approach is, we want to make sure that the campus is definitely welcoming, and that security personnel as well understands that if there are services or we need to redirect folks to their destinations and where they're trying to get to, that's definitely our priority. So one of the things that DMH is going to be doing is monitoring that security personnel regularly. So we are going to have our security services personnel out there making sure everything's in place. Just communicating with the operators, communicating with the local community-based organizations as well. So we're looking to be a partner in a collaborative effort with the HICP, steering committees, any meetings that we could be at and that we can participate in and take into account, the community's concerns and so forth. That is something that we welcome and that I would definitely be open to if given the opportunity to do that. Again, that's going to help us to continuously monitor and make any adjustments, right? Or pivot anything that needs to be looked at in terms of our security on the restorative care village campus.
All right.
And that's all I have in terms of an update. We are expected to meet again with DHS and identify the next steps and so forth in getting the security personnel assigned and all the logistics behind that. So I'll have more updates hopefully for our December 5th meeting.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Christopher. We appreciate the interim update. I know it's an evolving situation with a lot of different agencies involved. So we definitely appreciate the update today. I do see Guadalupe has her hand raised. Guadalupe, please ask your question.
Yes, thank you, Chris, for the presentation. I'm really glad that there's a lot of work going on, the security aspect as well. As you said, we want to make sure that the campus is welcoming to everyone. And so one of the things that has been brought up before is how can the community, in a way partner or be a partner on, the security aspects, enhancing security. There's also, some residents that live in the area as well, very close by. And is there a way of, ensuring, I don't know if there's a neighborhood watch in the immediate vicinity for those that live in the area, right? But how, there could be information provided like from the community to make, like the campus aware, security of anything looming, or at the same time, from the campus communication with the surrounding community. I don't know, just to keep each other, again, to further create an enhanced collaboration and ongoing partnership, just to ensure, again, towards that goal of ensuring safety, but also that the campus is welcoming, right? Any thoughts around that?
Great question. So again, I don't know if there is a platform currently where everyone brings those concerns or security concerns, but again, I'm more than happy to sit at the table at any sort of meetings where that is happening. That way I can put that into our security plan. And obviously it's going to be an ongoing relationship, right? An ongoing process. So I'm more than happy to attend any meetings and get any sort of feedback from the community so that I can then relay that information to our security personnel on the restorative care village campus. So if there's any ongoing things such as community meetings or operator meetings, I know that some of our DMH personnel is already meeting with some of the residents on the restorative care village campus. So I'm trying to connect myself into those meetings as well. So I'll connect with Heather or someone else if there's any. I know that I spoke with Rosa about getting more involved in the community meetings there, so that way we have a better approach, right? And that we're addressing all of the community's concerns.
And I know that, at times that we've heard, there's already, things that may need addressing now. I know this enhanced security effort, when are you looking to start implementing, like a lot of I know you've been listening to different folks to gather how to enhance security, but is there a timetable when you look to, implement, the enhanced security program, if you will?
So particularly in phase 4 and 5, that's more along the lines of there's no ETA on that in terms of that's going to be once the construction begins, and there's different phases of this whole security plan. So to address the immediate concerns, that's something that we have met and discussed with DHS. So again, they're the folks that are on campus currently. So we're definitely taking everything into account and trying to identify the best approach to address some of those current concerns. ETA, I do not have an ETA for you right now, Guadalupe, but we have heard and we have identified those concerns. And so those are things that we're in conversations with right now.
We have a question in the meeting room. Diego, please ask your question.
Thank you, Heather. And yes, good morning, Christopher. Diego Rodriguez, EVP COO of Alma Family Services. And Christopher, as you might know, Alma is a DMH contracted behavioral health provider here on campus, and offering a number of services, of course, including youth development. We serve hundreds of at-risk youth in the area, and we are partners of the Wellness Center. So I have a question for you and a comment as well. The question is, will there be a formal referral coordination element or function within the security team, within the kind of broader security approach, that will ensure that referrals are made and hopefully a warm handoff is made for individuals that need extra support, right, in a continuum of care? And my comment is, I think that underscores the role that the Wellness Center currently plays on campus, as we have been the recipients of referrals and helping that pathway of support for community. And we look forward to continue these conversations, because in the future, we anticipate that the need will escalate significantly as well. So we'd love to hear more from you in terms of that, kind of formal infrastructure support that hopefully will involve the security team. And just once again, underscore the importance, right, of looking at the whole spectrum of needs and how key partners such as the Wellness Center already play a role and can play a role in the future.
Oh, definitely. Thank you for that. And again, I'm open to discussions and identifying how we could be of support. I know that security is a very just kind of clear function, right? So there's certain functions within security that they can and cannot do. But again, I'm more than open to discussing some sort of referral process or just a redirecting of resources for folks that are on the campus, or just that we identify as security personnel, seeing that they need a certain resource or a certain program information or something along those lines, that we can redirect them for that. But yeah, I'm open to more conversation about that to identify some sort of infrastructure or a process for that.
Monica, take your question.
Yeah, so I have a question. I know in the past that the campus itself had a partnership with Exodus for outreach workers to specifically work on the campus and to do outreach with people. I don't think that's happening anymore. And I know that it was a partnership with DHS. I'm wondering if there's a way, and I know you're doing security, but I always want to make sure that our approach is support, right? And those that are in need. But do you know if there is a partnership, or is there if we can make that happen again? Because I really don't think that's happening anymore. I'm not part of that group, so I'm not sure. I do work for Exodus, but I can look on my end. But I think it's important because they were able to help a lot of people that were on campus and around. But because we have certain areas that people do outreach at, but I'm wondering if that could be brought back, and so that they work on the campus as well as on the campus as well, but then also at the village, because there'll probably be people outside. Yeah. I'm talking about the apartment.
The many phases of the restorative care village, our large campus, people do move around. So even though the projects may have defined boundaries, that doesn't mean that that's how people behave. So great question, Monica. So Christopher, were you able to hear Monica's question?
I did. And again, I know that Exodus will be on site, I believe, in phase 5. So that's something that maybe we can have a discussion about, and seeing if they're going to have any sort of outreach efforts, right? Or some sort of workers out on the campus doing some outreach, providing referral resources and so forth. So that is something that we can bring up. It would be helpful since you work for them, to see if there's anything currently being done. Or if that conversation, we can maybe respark that and start now. And that way, when phase 5 is open, we can kind of just smoothly transition into that, and it becomes a best practice effort there.
So just so you're aware, what's coming on site, it's the UCC. They don't do outreach. Every program has specific duties that they do. What I'm saying, in the past, there was we work with the hospital specifically, and there was meetings. I'm not part of that anymore. I don't think it's happening anymore. And there was funding put in to create that outreach team that specifically worked with the hospital. I don't think that's happening anymore. I will do my research on my end, but I think that Exodus, the people that are coming on, they don't do outreach. Their goal is mental health and mental health alone. So, but I think that if it's coming from you guys, it would be a great thing. And talking to DHS, you can, or whoever, because that was funded through DHS, not necessarily through DMH. But that could be something that I think that we bring back to the table, because I think it's important. That's so, just so you understand that Exodus does a lot of things, but the priority is mental health. But those outreach teams have to be specifically assigned, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So again, we have to identify who we need to speak with and so forth in terms of the particular task that you're mentioning.
Yeah, I think that we're starting the conversations, and we very much appreciate, Christopher, you presented to our co-design committee at last month's co-design meeting. You're presenting here today. I think we see a lot of interest, a lot of opportunity for partnership and integration and coordination. So we'll just continue the dialogue with you. And I think working with our HICP members and co-design members, we can find those right meetings and those right conversations so that we are prepared for when the restorative care village opens and we put our best foot forward. With that, I think any final questions or thoughts for Christopher? All right. Well, with that, We were on time, but we've blown a little bit past, but I'm going to ask for your patience to stay with us a few more minutes. We have some final presentations, announcements from partners. I'll invite anyone in the room or on the Zoom line who has an announcement. Anything you would like to share and update us on? All right, I'm going to invite Rosa up to talk about something going on the campus.
Hi, everyone. Wonderful meeting today. Thank you to all the presenters and the incredible dialogue that is happening, while we're in the room. I wanted to bring hot off the press the flyer for our upcoming staff input session. This is the equivalent of the community at large meeting that we had about a month ago for the community on a Saturday. This is the opportunity for those employees here on campus. Remember, we have 9,000 employees on campus to participate in giving us input into the master plan vision. And so the opportunity will be November 19th at 11:30 a.m. It will be in person and virtual, 11:30 at the General Hospital 1645 room. So it's the big auditorium, right? Large auditorium in the historic General Hospital. And there will also be a 7 p.m. virtual session for those that cannot attend at 11:30. For employees, if they're, because the meeting may run about an hour and a half. And so we want to make sure that if employees can pre-approve attending the session with their supervisor, that, we can have a stronger participation. It is going to be tricky for those that are patient facing, right? Particularly inpatient care. So we really want to make sure we work with supervisors and teams to figure out how we can support in navigating at least some key leadership into approval, so that the collective thoughts of our campus employees are heard. So we just want to thank Jorge, our CEO, for his support to make this happen. And of course, it's SEIU 721. They've been working very hard with us to ensure that the times and date that we set is a date that works for folks here on campus. A lot of stuff is happening quickly, so we want to make sure it was a time that would work for most. So again, November 19th, 11:30 a.m. In the General Hospital 1645. It will be in person and virtual. And then there'll be a 7 p.m. virtual session. So if there's any questions regarding that, we are happy to take those.
Hi, so the child care center, which is across the street from the General Hospital, historic General Hospital. Number one, there's a lot of people who use the services there who are employees, but then other parents, from the community. So is this something that they should be invited to, or maybe the December 6th is better for that? How are we engaging that group of families and employees?
Great reminder, Ari, if you can help us, just let people know that you come in contact with there. We will take flyers over. We will also let people know via email. And yes, please let them know. Again, I think what's really key about this is getting representation from each of our different entities on campus. So even if, 2 or 3 people from the child that are connected to the child care center could attend, I think it would be wonderful to get input from those parents and staff. Thank you for that. Any other comments or questions? Anything in the chat? There's a raised hand in the chat. Can we unmute them? Is it me? Who's the person? I can't tell.
Vivian. Oh, Vivian, please, Vivian, go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. This is with regards to the announcements.
Oh, you want to share an announcement?
Yes.
Okay, we'll come right back to you.
Okay, I'll
Teresa?
put it on my hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Teresa, hi.
This is Teresa Velasco. Thank you for the time. 2 things. I appreciate the collaboration with our workforce members and our 721 union. So thank you for that. And I also have a community event. As you know, SNAP benefits have been placed on pause for now. So I'm placing in the chat a community turkey giveaway. It is a drive-through event. So if you can make arrangements to attend via your vehicle. The date is November the 22nd. So happy and blessed holiday season ahead for everyone. Thank you.
Yes, Teresa, thank you so much. There's so much need in our community. I'm hearing about all the drive-through events that have just started. People are being turned away because there's so much need. So thank you for bringing this up early. Thank you for, connecting our community to the resource. And again, this is Electrical Training Institute on Garfield in Commerce on November 22nd, 9 to 12. So let people know, please.
Well, it's a collaboration with all of our unions within Southern California. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And this flyer is a placeholder. We will update the flyer with a QR code and all the appropriate partner logos to make sure that everyone is aware that there is a collaboration happening to bring people together. We also wanted to let people know, because I know some of our topics were a little bit heavy from the Wellness Center side, and it's important to really note what is happening in our community. But we're also continuing to bring joy. So you might have noticed that we are not doing the really big events we used to do. We're trying to keep people safe and not bringing them out unnecessarily when they don't need to come. But if you're here, if you're close, if you can make your way, we're going to continue to do the fun and celebratory and connected things for our community. So between October 24th and October 29th, the Wellness Center hosted a pumpkin patch, and it was sponsored predominantly by our CPHT team, our community public health team that is out in the community, going in our neighborhoods, going door to door, distributing food, asking about, what supports people need. So if you need somebody to get a visit, let us know. But we hosted them here to come to the Wellness Center, and we did this beautiful pumpkin patch. And again, it was a rolling pumpkin patch to take pictures. We're going to probably do the same thing for our holiday giving, our toy drive and our giving. So stay connected with us. We'll let you know those dates. I don't think we have the dates up. Oh, we do? Okay, there's one more flyer. Okay, that we're going to show. But just thank you. Just bring me back to the previous. Just the happy faces. And I think the adults, just as much as the kids, really enjoyed this. And, again, just if we can continue for the departments and the partners to do things for the community, taking into account keeping people safe, but doing things that can still bring joy, because we need to continue to bring joy to our community. All right, next slide. So November 25th, upcoming events. There's a veterans luncheon today. I think that's why our leadership left a little bit early. So they're probably doing that now as we speak. There's a nurses fall festival on the 19th here in these rooms. So please come and join and celebrate with our nurses. LA General's tree lighting ceremony and community celebration is on the 3rd of December. Please come and join us in the front. We'll have, sometimes I think we have like pastries and coffee and something to share with everyone. Again, just help us light our tree and our entrance to our inpatient tower. It's really important that we can keep the holiday cheer for our community. And then the Nurses Winter Festival is on the 9th. And the staff holiday celebration for our employees here is on the 10th of December. For our partners, we usually ask for volunteers so we can help serve them, because they're leaving their departments and sometimes they have to serve themselves. So if you help us, we can help serve our employees and our staff here to ensure that they are recognized for the incredible work that they do here at the LA General Medical Center. And then we are laying to rest our unclaimed dead. It's our interfaith burial ceremony on December the 11th. This one is going to be particularly very special because, as you saw in our flyer at the beginning, we have recently lost our father, Chris Ponnet, who did an incredible job of bringing light to this issue and ensuring that we treat every single person with dignity who have walked our path and ensure that they are recognized and buried with honor and with grace and with interfaith, because we don't know sometimes the different faiths of the people that pass. We wanted to make sure that our multiple faiths in our community are represented. So thank you, Father Chris, for your legacy, and thank you to everyone who's keeping his legacy alive. December 11th, join us for the ceremony. There will be a virtual Zoom in, and if you want to be there in person, I think there's a sign up because it's a very limited space that allows us to go and be part of that ceremony. But I've been a part of it the last several years, and it is quite an incredible opportunity to just sit in space with the unknown and to just recognize that they are incredible souls that are here with us that deserve the dignity of a proper burial. And I think that's all of our, no, still more. I have more to share. Thanksgiving food distribution. So again, we're doing this rolling, and Dr. Gonzalez shared that we're doing a rolling distribution. So if you know anyone who needs food, let us know so that we can get it to them. They can come pick it up, whatever is safest for people. We were really trying to help. Dry goods is mostly what we have on a daily basis, non-perishables, because we want to make sure that there's a little bit of shelf life, right? And people just have something in stock. But we're also doing a larger food distribution with fruits and vegetables and meats and poultry. This is 300 pre-registered families, November 22nd, call the Wellness Center. It is from 9 to 12. And so we will make sure that we put people on that list and people can come and pick up a Thanksgiving food basket. There's also the holiday. Oh, we do have a holiday toy giveaway and posada dates, and that is December 19th and December 20th at Historic General Hospital. Oh, I thought we were doing both days. Where's Melina? Oh, so it's either of the two dates. Okay. So just save those dates and we will let you know what day it is and what time folks can come and get toys and groceries and things that they will need for the holiday season. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We're going to send out quick newsletter with all of these dates and new information, and meet us again in December. What's the date? Next slide. One more slide. The other way. Oh, sorry. It's the other one. Anyway, December 5th. December 5th. Oh, Vivian Escalante still has her hand up. Vivian, I'm so sorry. Go right ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. I just wanted to announce that Boyle Heights Community Partners, in partnership with the Benjamin Franklin Library and the Council District and many others, are going to be having the Benjamin Franklin Library renovation and groundbreaking celebration this Saturday, November 8th from 10 to 1. We're going to be talking about the library new renovation. Also, we are going to be presenting an amazing history of not only the history of Boyle Heights, since this is our 150th anniversary of Boyle Heights, but also with regards to a lot of the information about the library and also the women who actually started a library association back in the 1800s. So I greatly appreciate it if you can all come out from 10 to 1 today. Tomorrow, Saturday, and see what we have to offer. It's going to be an amazing educational experience, and it'd be great to see as many people as I possibly can to say hello. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Vivian. And again, on behalf of HICP, thank you everyone for joining today. We will see you on December the 5th at 8:45. I think the flyer was just up. But again, we'll send this out for everyone to remember. December 5th, Friday, 8:45 a.m. in this room. We will see you then. Good night, everyone.